Well, this here says we're live. Looks that way to me, I guess. If you're out there, you want to drop a little note or an emoji, drop some hearts, people say. So drop some hearts, thumbs up. Um, Let me indeed know that you are there, and I'm going to talk about something I just posted, which was an article, which is a video interview of Bill Gates. And my comment there on it was isn't it amazing how Gates and Fauci can so accurately predict pandemics? And so, to a lot of people, that means, and I'm realizing that what that can mean to a lot of people is that I'm saying there's something to the prediction that they are purposely planning these things. So, hey, I see a thumbs up. Right on. Glad you're here. Um, so while I think it's totally possible that there is some level of planning and organization that goes on, it's very subtle. It's not like somebody's writing down executive orders. These are things that can be subtly planned and shared information, general knowledge, and kind of when you understand all the potential pieces of what's important to some of the most powerful people on the planet who meet regularly, obviously, and that we can see in public, but the mainstream media doesn't report. And of course, they have phone calls and private meetings and things like that. And Bill Gates and Fauci in particular had many private meetings. You can see them. There's plenty of photography of them together. But anyway, so there is this general coordination thing that's almost certainly happening. So to what level is it? Hey, let's predict the virus, build the infrastructure, and then launch it. It's a distinct possibility that it is that detailed of a plan, and a total distinct possibility that it's not. And I don't know which is true, right? So the other aspect of when I say, isn't it odd that how good they are predicting these things is the attitude they have, I guess. And this is what I really want to start thinking about. And maybe I'm going to update that post with a little more thoughts about it, because it's the attitude they have that it's not that they're necessarily planning it out factually as if they're going to launch the virus, although that is a possibility. It's that they talk about it kind of so gleefully and excitedly about the mandatory vaccinations and how everybody just needs the vaccinations and you won't be able to travel and you won't be able to do this and we're just going to have to lock down society and this is just so good and we can build all this infrastructure and we can have all the things ready and we can, and everybody will just get their vaccine and we can have vaccine infrastructure built so whenever something comes out, people can run right out and get their vaccines and or else you won't be able to travel and, just so nonchalantly talking about this world that they're so prepared for. So it's so ready for. And so it's almost like they desire a world like that. Whereas for me, it's like, no, burn it. Honestly, I'm more like burn it all down before we got to live in a world like that. Really, we'll start over again because we are off track. You know what I'm saying? So that's what really bugs me. So, why do they have such confidence that that's the world we should live in or would live in? And so what's underneath that for me is the version of that world they're talking about is not healthy, natural humans getting along on the planet. When we have a virus as healthy, natural humans who care about each other and want the best for each other and want to live on a planet together, we don't need these kind of guys like Bill Gates to tell us about how we won't be able to travel and that he's going to inject us with whatever he recommends and that's the way it's going to be. That's just not the way a society that cares about each other would handle a situation like that. We would naturally recognize actual danger because there's actual danger present. And we go, oh my gosh, we're in danger, tribe. What should we do? And there will be a respect for the bravest members of the tribe to say, oh, you're not scared to go out there? With the killer virus, you want to go out and continue to work? Well, thank goodness, because I want to stay home. It's so brave of you to still want to do that, and for allowing for that. And as there is a serious health threat, even the most brave will start saying, you know what, it's time to stay home. That would happen very naturally in a healthy, loving society. That would just all, like, there wouldn't be any of this stuff. There wouldn't be any of this bureaucratic control system that has so much to gain by implementing a medical health control system, informing us of how things are going to be. People would be able to determine for themselves how things are going to be. Communities would determine how things are going to be. Communities would come together and agree on, hey, you came to the same conclusion about how you want to be in your community? Yeah, we agree with that. Let's share that with the other communities and let them know how is it working for you. Sharing information, natural flows of information in an organic fractal, from the bottoms of the small communities up to central authorities like our federal government perhaps, or the UN, and then the information can flow back down again in a natural, organic way. What's happening is not that, and it's completely unnatural. And so there's something very unnatural and unhealthy about the way you hear these guys like Fauci and Gates are the two that happen to be present in this particular moment, but there's tons of them. The way they talk about it, and the way they talk about the future, and the way they talk about the world, they're obviously helping to build the systems they're helping to build, which are repugnant to natural law. They're repugnant to a healthy society where freedom of choice is present. Where it is from, where we arrive at collective unity about how to be with each other through the individual sovereignty of each being shining forth in free will. That's just missing from our society, and we make up all kinds of reasons why it has to be that way. And there are some reasons that we do need some kind of structure to our society. Because food and shelter is not the thing. That's so easy. Food and shelter and basic needs, done. That's so easy to take care of for every human on the planet, okay? Without a lot of organizational structure, okay? If we turned off all the other focuses right now and just focused on making sure we could have healthy food and clean water for everybody on Earth, and that means healthy food, whatever that culture deems as healthy, right? And for each person to have accessibility to the things they want, right? Culturally biased, right? That would be so easy. We could do that in no time. We do not need massive control systems to implement such a system. But what we do need, we need to start doing more structure. We need to rely on more masculine structure for protection and organization and those kind of things, to the extent that we're fighting over resources, right? And so we absolutely need to stop fighting over resources, of course. Everybody understands this, ultimately. But the fact that there are big boys with their toys fighting over resources means we have to deal with that. It means that we do have things like China to deal with. Primarily is on my radar these days. Frankly, thanks to Trump and company, who have really shined some light on that situation. Regardless of what their deepest intentions for the world are, I don't know. I hope it is along the lines of what I'm speaking to. It certainly looks to me like there is a best effort, a real, honorable effort, good intentioned effort to expose corruption. Corruption that is so present everywhere. And and that movement, that Trump and that movement have helped to do that. So I recognize and honor that. What the actual truest motivations are, I don't know. But I do appreciate certain aspects of what's happening with that. So, and that's one of them. That certain information is now being talked about a lot more than it was. And I think that's really important. And China is one of those things. We're really shining a light on what's happening with China. And it's big. And it's important. And when I say China, I really mean the CCP. That's an important distinction as well, right? We're not talking about the Chinese people, okay? To whatever extent they hate Americans, which I do have some understanding that is a very present part in Chinese culture of just recognizing the American way is just something that needs to be done with and go away. But that is the programming from the CCP, the boys with their toys, fighting over resources on the planet, right? So we do have to deal with these things. These things are real and they are happening. So structure and organization is important to us to some extent. As we step more into the feminine, as we start to trust and release, and we build organizational systems that can feed and house people, and we focus on basic needs being met for all people, and we focus on caring and loving each other and holding each other in a kind of harmonic or the kind of energetic community that allows people to achieve their true sovereignty, their full self-love, then we will see a natural emergence of what is present in our species in an authentic and organic way. What is really present for us, and what is it we're really looking to do, rather than from a centralized top-down control mechanism because we have to fight over resources. We're allowing it to come up from the bottom. We're allowing sensing and nurturing to happen within and amongst ourselves in community and in relationship with each other. We tap into a safe place where we can love ourselves fully. When we love ourselves fully, that is the embodiment of individual sovereignty. Our choice, our yeses will flow through us. Our clear no's will become so apparent. It'll be like, no, that does not feel good. I do not want to be part of that. I am not going to fight over that resource, for instance, is one thing people might start saying. Like, that is a ridiculous plan and it's silly. Now knock it off. And we can say yes to so many different things that we want to from an authentic, natural, organic place of safety and harmony, right? I believe that is what is basic and natural in the human spirit. There's no question about that for me. And there's this need to control out of fear and scarcity and a lack. You know, we get into that. So we're thinking that there's some kind of how finite resources on the planet that we must fight over. It creates a lack and it creates a fear. So it's evil, Dr. Sherry Christian says. So, yeah, you can go as far as calling it a battle between good and evil. Okay, I try not to go that far, but I do see how it can easily be applied. And when I say things like, love is holding space for the highest evolution of all things, and the opposite of holding space for the highest evolution of all things is trying to control things. And so control could be called evil, and love could be called good, and we could do all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that there is a natural tendency towards the controlling aspect, towards the over-structuralization aspect, out of fear, scarcity, and lack. And that is, fear and scarcity and lack can exist for practical reasons for organisms living in this universe. There are times when there is scarcity, when there is lack, and we do need egoic type systems that can go out and do what needs to be done for the survival of the body so that the spirit within it can experience its existence, right? So there is this natural drive for the spirit to be able to be embodied at various times, at various iterations of existence, right? And to have the body that carries that spirit be present in 3D reality for some period of time and to experience the universe. So the universe is thus experiencing itself, is how I look at that. So there's a drive for that, and that's real. But what we've done is we've taken a real, idea that scarcity exists, and we've made that the primary idea that's always on our minds. That's always where we operate from on the planet. And that is completely dysfunctional. That is behind all the weirdness we're seeing. So again, like, this whole conversation started because there's this thing about, I posted where you watch this interview with Bill Gates. I can't even get through it because he's talking about this world that he and many others seem to be envisioning of lockdowns and injections and just to do basic stuff in society. And it's like, to me, like the fact that they're talking about it so nonchalantly and gleefully almost, it's almost gleeful. He's almost glad how he was right about the pandemic that he predicted. And so it's not necessarily that they're actually creating it, but it's possible. But it's not my main point. My main point is the glee with which they love this future they're building. And I just don't love it. I don't like it at all, in fact. And I almost, like, it really comes to me, burn it all down before we live in that kind of future. Like, really? Like, I don't mean that. I don't say that to scare anybody. I don't mean anybody any harm. I don't mean any suffering to anybody. But my God, that future to me is the ultimate suffering from my perspective. The future they're putting forth is the ultimate suffering. That's not the direction I would like to take this planet. So if you would like the planet to go the direction that they are taking it, then, please forgive me and please allow me my freedom to have my opinion. And I'd love to talk to you more about why that's a future that excites you. In the meantime, I'll continue to believe that what I'm saying is obvious and is obvious to lots and lots of people, but we don't have these kind of conversations. There's the media, what I call the manufactured, the institutionally manufactured consent, right? That is always present, kind of like this narrative that's always present in our society, especially in the US and probably Europe, but really in the US is what I'm most familiar with. Institutionally manufactured consent, or any institutionally manufactured narrative that just has everybody, that's the thing you believe in, and if you're a healthy member of society, that's the narrative you believe, and that's what we talk about, and that's the line, the center line within which all of our discussions will occur. And you can deviate slightly. There's a name for this deviation you can have. I forget what it is. And it's a window. It's a window of discussion you're allowed to have within the institutionally manufactured narrative. And if you go outside of that, then we tend to poo-poo it in general. Oh, you're not sane? Is that the thing? Is that the thing that people kind of believe? Oh, yeah. Like when you look at that, that's often where it goes immediately. Oh, they're not sane. They're not. And so the institutionally manufactured narrative is a very, very precise way of looking at the world. And I just don't buy it. That's all I'm saying. It's not the future I want. So for me to deviate from that norm, based on my desires for the future I want to create, I don't think is anything like insanity. It's just my opinion. Tell me what you think. Thanks for listening to me yak.